My name is Denise Nadeau, and I'm affiliate assistant professor in the Department of Religions and Cultures at Concordia University in Chugachage in Ganyageha territory. I'm currently residing in the Kwanglen territory on Vancouver Island. I'm a settler, and my field of study is Indigenous settler relations and the deconstruction of whiteness and Christianity, and in particular, the decolonization of the body. And I've just published a book called Unsettling Spirit, A Journey into Decolonization. In another webinar, I discussed what I call the politics of trauma and how the dominant discourse about trauma medicalizes and individualizes collective suffering and is used to frame people as victims and hence reinforces racist and settler colonial structures. I have training in somatic psychotherapy, and I'm going to share some of that today. And this has helped me become aware of how our bodies hold what are called trauma patterns. And at the same time, I like to look at trauma work, which some of my Indigenous friends call, instead of trauma-informed practice, genocide-informed practice, to look at the really larger historical structural framework in which people experience trauma. The framework I like to use is body sovereignty and bodily self-determination. That's what we're working towards. And there's a quote I have seen from the Holocaust survivor Viktor Frankl, which catches what we're working towards here, which the quote is, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and freedom." So what I'm looking at today are some tools to help us slow down enough that we don't react automatically in a situation that has triggered or created danger for us. Now, our context right now is the COVID-19 pandemic, the long due recognition, and I put recognition in brackets, of anti-Black racism and police brutality against Black and Indigenous people, how all the systemic inequalities of our society have been exposed through the pandemic, and also the significant mental, economic, and emotional suffering that's happening in this time of uncertainty. This is social suffering. Yet, trauma itself is real and has a real impact on the body. In this video, I want to introduce some basic body skills that can help one navigate daily life as well as be in the virtual and in-person classroom. And I'm also using these skills in bystander trainings, and I see them being used in de-escalation training. I was just watching a webinar on defunding police and ending police brutality, and we have to ourselves be part of communities that know how to de-escalate violence. So these skills are very useful in that context too. Trauma is a term that refers to a group of symptoms a person experiences in their body because a situation of danger, either in the past or in the present, that they are unable to get out of. The autonomic body response of where they could fight, flight, or freeze, which is an automatic response from our autonomic nervous system, has not been able to click in, and the person therefore their body adopts what I call survival strategies to be able to be in that moment without losing their total self. And these bodily symptoms vary, but all reflect how the individual was unable to process or metabolize their emotional reactions to a situation in the past. There is no judgment on the fact one has these bodily reactions because they were a tool of safety and survival. And what happens is any situation with even a tiny similarity to a specific past situation may trigger the same symptoms. Symptoms can be disassociation, flashbacks, high levels of anxiety, hypervigilance, or numbness, coldness, flaccid muscles, unable to feel in the body. These are called trauma patterns because they can show up later on when you're watching a movie that's disturbing, when somebody makes a racist remark. These past, and notice I'm going to do this whenever I'm talking about trauma in the past, and it's just to realize that it's in the past. Those reactions come in and layer onto the body in the present. Just to make a distinction, there's two types of trauma. There's life and death trauma, which is a car accident, being bitten by a bear, falling off a ladder, breaking your back. These are where your body could die. And then there is relational trauma, where there has been abuse of power and where it's been unsafe to express your reaction. Sexual abuse, sexual violence, wars, racist incidents, genocide, we could go on. They're where the relationship has an abuse of power. These have happened, let's say if you're in the classroom and this comes up for you, in the past. And they have long-term health impacts, which is why you see so many people in racialized communities being impacted by COVID, because they have lived a life of constant stressors, racialized trauma, and so they've had long-term health impacts on their bodies. There are also terms, this term, because it became passed over generations, the behaviors through family structures, even cultural norms and genes, we now have the term intergenerational trauma and historical trauma in the past. So I'm just going to use refer to two types of responses in the body, and we're going to be working with one of them. One is called hyperresponse. So a stressful situation happens, and we can either have the capacity to not let it, to handle it well, or we can go into these two options. The defensive style is where there is intention in your body. The fight, flight, or freeze reaction has come in, but you can't. And so you're hyper-aroused, your shoulders may go up, your neck or back stiffens, you're holding your breath. So you need to soften and release those tensions to deal with hyper-response. And these are reactions, automatic reactions. Another pattern is the muscles go flaccid. This is more a low energy state where energy leaks out of the body. You give up, you don't feel, your muscles are overwhelmed, so you lose access to impulses, and you don't feel. And again, genius survival mechanism, that's what's called hypo-response, but it leads into a trauma pattern of behavior of collapse or hibernation, just getting away, leaving a situation because you can't deal with it. Now today, I'm going to be working with hypo-response because that is working with muscles, and it's much easier to work with our muscle system to access our muscles. And so we're looking at those parts of our bodies where we've kind of created holes in our boundaries and energetic container, and so we lose access to reaching out, to setting boundaries, and having a sense of center. By the way, in any trauma response, both are in our bodies. You'll have muscles that are tensing and then muscles that are given up. And sometimes people have an imbalance, and then you can see that in their behavior. So what we are doing is moving into balance. So for me, building resilience, which is the title I've given this, Building Body Resilience, this little webinar here, it's about moving into balance. So we're not offering trauma treatment. This isn't about trauma treatment. It's a series of exercises that can help you when you're triggered or aroused to bring you back into the present moment, into the here and now situation. It can lower agitation from what's going on that's come from the past, and help you to be more present to what is actually happening right now. What we're doing is bringing to our body our attending skills. We're putting our awareness into where we don't feel much energy and inviting with curiosity more room for sensations in our body. There's one key concept in this work, which is called dosage. If you ever have taken medication, drugs, the dosage is critical. And what works for me may not work for you, including some of these exercises might not work for you at all. The intensity may be different for you or for me. And what we're doing is starting with working small and then working small to build up resilience, because we're working with muscles that have gone asleep. So what we're doing is we're filling out our body presence, and I'm going to start moving my screen a bit so you're going to see some of this, so that we can match the stress from the outside rather than yield into push or collapse or give up. So we're building up energy to access parts of the body that went absent. No right or wrong. Whatever happens is where your body's meant to be right now. So some of it works good, some of it doesn't. Maybe it'll work another time. Whatever is there is going to be okay for you. So let's first track what is going on in the body right now. And this work is preferably done in the chair, and I'm going to demonstrate as well. So get yourself into a chair, and then let's settle into wherever we're sitting. And negotiate with the chair. So here I am in my chair. Now I am lucky that my feet are actually touching the ground. If your feet aren't touching the ground, I invite you to put a book or a pillow or something so that you're making contact with the ground, because the ground is incredibly important for allowing ourselves to feel our contact with the land, because the land is one of the basic and important supporters for us. And notice your sits bones, which are the bones at the bottom of your tush here. See if you can feel the chair with them. And if you can, feel support for your back. Invite the body to land where you are sitting. Just allow gravity to work for you so that you can feel your back against the back of the chair. You can feel the bottom of where your tush is touching the bottom. And you can feel your feet on the ground. And just know that you are not alone by the fact that there's cooperation between the ground and the body. And let your shoulders just drop and soften. And allow yourself to just release any tension you're feeling into the earth. So you're just landing, settling in right now. You can pay attention to your breathing. And I often encourage you to pay attention to the out breath, because the out breath helps us to calm down. If you spend a bit more time on the out breath, and just notice what your body's feeling right now. I invite you to say words to yourself. Nobody's hearing you on this webinar. But if you use words, you're also reinforcing a sensation. So me, I can feel I've slowed down. I'm less nervous doing this presentation because I can feel the support of the chair. I'm suddenly more present. Slightly sleepy, slightly slow, but that's okay. I've slowed down and my breath is deeper. Now be open to whatever this does for you, and what you're doing is getting in contact with being what's there with your body. Now, how can we feel the numb parts? There's two ways. One is we're going to compare different parts of our body, and the other is during the exercises, you might suddenly notice parts are numb. So again, no judgment. For some people, comparison works. The other, you feel them more by using the exercises. So let's start with a comparison. So we're looking for parts of our body that are less filled out, that we can't feel, basically, very much. That might be feel vague or sleepy, smaller, and contrast with where you might feel tension, which is always easier to pick up tension. Like I know I have tension in my neck here right away. It's very familiar tension. So first, let's compare the upper, adjust the screen, your upper body to about your waist with your lower body. And just notice sensations. Notice parts of your body that you can feel and parts of your body that you can't feel any sensation. Now compare the back of your body and the front of your body. So going from the top of your head all the way down, and the inside and the outside, and the left and the right. What did you notice? It's so easily to get overwhelmed in the center area. So I often don't feel in my center area. Often we don't feel our legs or our hands, part of our arms. And when our feet and legs feel far away, it means we've lost contact with our sense of grounding. So now I'm going to do some body exercises that bring energy in. Remember the principle of low dosage, and we're going to start with the feet. So your feet right now are in contact with a book or a ground. Just do a gentle push, a tiny little pressure into the ground, into the floor. Even with a little tiny push, you can feel an upward movement in the body because you're stimulating an upward movement in the body. And notice the center is getting quite strong here. You'll even go into supporting a little stretch in your neck. Experiment with dosing here. Try tiny, small, harder push. Harder doesn't work for me, I get tired. It's looking for what feels good, gives you more energy, fills you up, makes you feel more present. Now I'm going to ask you to do something different with your feet. So seeing my hands as if these are my feet, I'm going to ask you to turn and slightly put pressure just on the inside of your feet. So what you're doing here is just slowly pushing from the inside of your feet, just a slight angle. And what that's doing is activating the muscles on the inside of your legs, up the front, through your pelvic floor and up the front. Then dosage. Teeny. This is just to see if you can help you sense maybe the inside of your legs, maybe around your abdomen. Again, explore a bit harder. Just playing with the dosage that gives you a sense of that connection, the front side of your body. Now I'm going to ask you to push on the outside of your feet. So here you're pressing down this way. Now we're going to press this way on the outside of your feet. Again, your dosage, either teeny or a bit more or a bit more. What's happening here is you're connecting to the muscles on the back side of the body. So this connects to the outside muscles on the outside of your legs and cooperates with your back. And again, it can be done very gently, or you can do it with more physical substance. And just notice what's happening with your breathing, with the energy in your body, with your sense of presence. In terms of the psychological components to these skills, because they're called psychomotor skills, the outside of the foot connects us to our boundaries so we can keep more energy in. And the energy is held in our back muscles. And the inside, we're more centered, deeper sense of being carried from the inside. Now remember, just selecting is part of dosing, and it's really allowing us to go for what works. We're looking for something that's supportive, something that gives us something that we can describe as some kind of resource. It could be feeling you feel stronger, more centered, more upright, getting more energy, moving back into balance. Now I'm going to introduce two hand exercises. They involve the arms and the hands. This one goes for activating the front side of the body. So bringing your hands together with your fingertips just lightly touching each other like this. And then bringing your hands down to your lap, because I brought them up just to show you, but bring them down to your lap so that your hands are resting in your lap. And there's no hard work for your shoulders. And then just let the fingertips push into each other. Again, the dosage that works for you. So what is happening here is we're gathering the muscles in the front side of the body. And this goes for the muscles in your chest, and in your abdomen, and it goes for your connective tissue, for fascia. Just again, notice how that one makes you feel. Again, we're experimenting here with dosage. You can do it with more physical strength, or you do it tiny little, or even imagine you're doing it if it's not helping you. Sometimes just imagining it can help you. And you're going for the dosage that allows you to breathe freely, so that this thing with activating muscles is not about holding your breath. It's about getting a better container so that you have a more energized body to breathe in. Now, this is for the back side of the body. Again, cup your hands like this so that you can pull in each direction. Again, so you can give resistance to each other. And then put your hands in your lap while you do it. And when you pull in each direction, your elbows will also go to a tiny little bit backwards. And that, with that whole system, with that, you're going to activate muscles in your back. So just notice how you feel that. If you feel it, no judgment if you don't. Again, hands in the lap, shoulders down. Notice as you pull, your elbows go back, and you can feel some of your back muscles. You can do tiny little, you can do it with more physical strength. The feeling should be, oh, I like this, or oh, I don't like this. Don't do it. If you don't like it, stop it. And you're finding the dosage that works, that gives you a pleasurable experience, that makes you feel more present. And you can try reversing and seeing if that works. And again, these are resources for one's for activating your front side and your back side. I happen to have a very strong back, so I don't need that, but I have holes in my front side. I'm so easily overwhelmed. So I need this one more, and using the inside of my feet. So you find out which one you like more. I'm going to add one more called accessing center. And on the front side of our body, between the fourth and fifth lumbar spine, and the center is often described as the hara or tantien in different traditions. This is the physical balance point of the body. It's where our spine is the thickest. And it's also the junction of all the fascia, where the thin membrane of connective tissue envelops all the units of the body meets here. So put your right hand on the outside of the left knee and rotate to the left. What that's doing is activating the psoas muscle around your center so that you can feel your center a bit more. Again, dosage. Small, harder, no good. I get tension in my neck. We're very, very keen. Again, try the other side, left hand, outside of right knee, turn towards the right knee. Activating the psoas muscle. So that exercise helps you access your center. The front, you're looking to be more gathered, protected, so the world can't get you so easily. And with the back, you're getting your support and being able to reach out for support. With both of these, they can help you. For me, when I realize something's going on that's more than what the present moment is bringing to it, it helps keep me in that present moment and lets some of my agitation or arousal go. When my front side isn't properly gathered, the energy from the outside world literally walks into me and I feel exposed. So these are skills to help you feel safer. And then the benefit of the muscle system is that we can train specific skills. It's easier to do it with these small exercises. And then we get a bit of a sense of balance in ourselves so that we can see clearly when we're responding to stressors. So hopefully we can get to the point where, okay, I can see this is happening. I'm getting agitated. What are my options here? Use some skills so that it's clearer. You don't react because you're trying to move out of automatic reaction. So I think, again, whenever something's getting difficult for you, you'll notice when you tense, but you also forget sometimes, or you don't notice when you've disappeared. Start with your feet just to bring you back to the present. And this brings you closer to yourself, and also do this with some kind of kind awareness. Know when to use this. So in classroom contexts, it can be disturbing material. It can be a film. I was invited to do a session of this before we stand up, which is that amazing film by Tasha about the Colonialism case. And it arouses so much for people. And so my colleague brought me in to do some of these exercises before. I use these in bystander trainings. I use these in a context to equip people to deal. Again, in the classroom, you hear a racist remark, or even the body language of the instructor. Those of us who carry white body supremacy can totally trigger someone. So, and I'm also, I do not sympathize with people who say, oh, we shouldn't be worrying about triggering people. I know it's our responsibility to deal with being triggered, but it's real. So I don't side with that critique of we have to be careful. I do think we have to be aware of what's going on in the classroom and histories of trauma in our classroom. For resources, I have a few here that I like to recommend. Menakem Resmaa's My Grandmother's Hands, Racialized Trauma and the Pathway to Mending Our Hearts and Bodies. That is a workbook. It is focusing on trauma and a bit too much on if we solve body trauma, we'll solve all the problems. I don't quite agree with his analysis, but he's got some great exercises and a workbook that you work through, including in his for white, brown, and black bodies. My teacher, Maretta Branchenberg, who doesn't work out of an anti-colonial or anti-racist framework, but is very good on hypo-response. I'm including 2 videos that she's done very similar, these similar exercises, so you can get reinforced with what I've offered here. I have a great little Giphy breathing exercise, very useful too, just to watch when you're maybe losing it trying to write a paper, and you can go to this and just practice this breathing exercise. Healing Justice London. I'm part of a Somatic Futures group, and which is international, and it's body work, people who do somatic work, who are involved in justice work. And let me tell you, somatic therapy has been a very white field, and so it's just amazing being with this group of people And Menakem is part of Healing Justice London. If you want to see an organization that is working at the individual, community, political level around trauma, it's the best model I've seen. Lastly, my own book, Unsettling Spirit, A Journey into Decolonization, where I do look at the politics of trauma, how white body behavior is in bodies like mine, and it's just a useful kind of context for looking at how we can be more embodied if we learn from Indigenous knowledge frameworks, because we're not, a lot of people are not embodied because of this dominant culture. So I thank you for listening, and remember to dose, and dose small first, try that. Thank you.